Hey there, Nefertiti Pointer here with the Devereaux Center for Resilient Children. I hope you're doing really well. I was thinking about a time when, as I was thinking about just getting ready to share this quick story with you, I was thinking about all the different stories all of us have in our back pocket, right? But there was this one time I was training in it with a group, and if we've ever met before, you've heard me in a presentation. I talk about this look called the shut up look. It's a look that, as a national trainer, I've got it a lot. I get it a lot. It's just a look that says, I don't want to be here. I don't care what you got to say. I know this already. It kind of looks like a shut up look. But what I've learned from people is that the shut up look sometimes is a look that says, I'm listening. I like what you're saying. Like, it doesn't really mean sometimes anything yucky, right? But I was working with this group once, and I was talking about strategies for how to support children who use behaviors that challenge us. And we were having just a good conversation. And I was talking about things that could be easily implemented, just things that are more meaningful to me, and just sharing ideas. And right up here in the front of the room, like right over here to my left, there was this young lady who everything I said, she countered with why it wasn't going to work. You ever met that person? So I would talk about this strategy, and then I would hear her say, she want me to do that with all the children. I'd give another strategy. She said, that's too much. I could hear her saying it. And then she said, one strategy I said, and then she said, she's talking at her table. She's not talking to me. She's talking to the people at the table. But then she said, oh, she's got too much time on her hands. That's what she told me when I told this group about how one day this little guy who I was working with, who was super challenging for me, I called him at home one day because he was having such a great week. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. So I called him at home because I wanted him to know how wonderful he was and his effort. It was great, but he wouldn't talk to me. So I'm calling the little boy at home. I'm excited to talk to him. I think he's excited to talk to me, but he's so scared that I'm calling for something wrong, he won't talk to me. So we talk a little bit, or I talk a little bit, and I said, well, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. I said, are you going to wear your red shirt tomorrow? He said, yes. I don't know what red shirt I'm talking about, though, because I was just trying to make conversation. But the next day, he wore a red shirt to school. And he looked at me like, did she really call me last night? And in a whole nother video, I could tell you how some of those things were so life-changing for both him and myself. But back to this adult situation, right? So I hear her say, she's got too much time on her hands. She's talking about me. So by this time, I've been listening to her talk for about 15 minutes. And now the remote control that I use for my PowerPoint, I'm squeezing that. I'm about to break it. My strategy for squeezing my toes, because sometimes when people get on my nerves, I squeeze my toes. Because see, this is what happens. See this smile? It's because I'm squeezing my toes. And then I started to cry. I started to cry at the comments that I was getting from this particular educator. And I cried. Let's not be mistaken. I cried because I was angry. I was becoming very angry. I was becoming very worried. I was becoming very scared about someone who would think that calling a student at home or sending some thank you cards in the mail for being a good listener or learning how to tie your shoe, because that's the kind of stuff I was talking about, just simple things. I worried what it must feel like to be a student in this person's classroom. And my tears went out to the children who would have to share space with what was seeming to be a difficult spirit. And again, my term spirit is just the innermost part of who we are. Like that, I worried about that. And so I'm in front of this room, I'm crying. And I don't know what to say. I know what I want to say, but I can't say that. And so I dry my tears and I looked directly at this young lady and I said to her, you would want someone to do it for your child. Now, again, I cleaned it up so that I made sure I did it right. Don't worry, I did it right. But the main thing that I wanted this person and anybody else in the room who might have felt that way to know is that you would want someone to do it for your child. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. There are going to be times where it feels like a lot. And I will never ask you to do anything that takes away from your own sense of self-stewardship, your own sense of being. I don't want to be misunderstood. But sometimes when you pour into children, some of them are like Dixie cups. Some of them are like the bigger cup. And then some of them are more like 2-liter soda bottles or beverage bottles. And when it is time to pour into children in that way, you make sure you take care of yourself. And just remember that everything that you're doing for that child, boy, oh boy, do I wish and hope that someone does that for my Madison and does that for my Kiara. I hope someone does it for them, right? And so, yeah, sometimes it feels like a lot. But may you say in the back of your head, I will want someone to do it for my child. Yes. Well, think about that. And I hope that this makes sense. Again, just think about it. Before you react, think about it. And just remember, I want someone to do it for my child. When someone says, why are you doing all of that? Might that be the simple message you say to them? Because it's the right thing to do. And I would want someone to do it for my child. Thanks for listening. Hope to talk to you soon.